say, man, for those select few that are already initiated, you should already know what time it is. And for those that aren't, just chill. See, what you gotta understand is, we got a vibe to catch. And by my estimation,
be Frankie.
See, it's been about a week since y'all last heard from me. And in that time, I was wondering if y'all forgot that I'm just way more fly than your most favorite astrologer. But now y'all ain't forgot. How could you? Everything is a vibration, man. You're a vibration. Hell, I'm practically humming. What you talking about? I know a lot of time y'all sitting up be wondering, who the fuck does he think he is? I'm who the fuck you think you need me to be.
Be Frankie.
So let me be frank. If you need somebody to hate at any given moment, I'm your huckleberry. Cause I can take it. Can you? It's about that time though, for y'all to open up your ears and let me crawl into your mind. That's that type of shit. When the grown folks put on, it's like, well, you don't know nothing about that right there. And you don't. But I do.
Be Frankie.
So let me be frank. You fucking with the right one, man. Say what it was, y'all. Y'all should already know who it is, but if not, yeah. And y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge of Self, and this right here, this ain't shit but a little cosmic insight, man. And hey, man, it's been about a week since y'all last seen me. I took a deep breath. Now it's time to dive back into this shit for real. And in this new series that we beginning, man, things gonna get interesting, to say the least, man. Might even get a little bit weird. And I love it. That's because this right here, this is a little something about those people that have Uranus in the 8th house of their natal chart. Yeah, it's gonna get that. And if y'all already know my style, and if y'all don't, I'm gonna tell you anyway. First, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit on the meaning of Uranus in astrology. Then after that, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit about the energy and how it might affect you. Then after that, I'm gonna give y'all a little breakdown on what the 8th house of the astrological chart is actually all about. Then after that, we're gonna bring it all to a culmination. So, without wasting any more time and bullshit, man, let's go ahead and get cracking. So, for me, Uranus is like the motherfucking cosmic alarm clock and shit. And that's because, it brings big shocks and surprises, wherever it shows up in the chart a lot of the time. And it's the planet triggering events and breakthroughs that we don't expect. And, a lot of people don't say this, but Uranus is actually the higher octave of Mercury. So it really relates to the genius streak in us. Yeah, brilliance, sheer brilliance. And, for a lot of astrologers, Uranus is known as the awakener because of the way that its aspects and transits bring sudden changes and shocks. And, along with Saturn, it co-rules over the 11th house of the astrological chart and the sign of Aquarius. And it can really bring brilliant fucking innovation, man. And sometimes it can bring a sudden upheaval, which is sometimes a necessary break from the norms. And it stays in a sign for about 7 years, so it's considered a generational planet in that aspect. And what that means is that it might have a similar impression on everybody that was born in that time frame. And now when we talk about the house placement, that's when shit gets personal. That's when we talk about how it affects us individually. And that's what we're going to talk about in this series that we're talking about, man. And that what it does is that shows where your brilliance is. It shows, what area of life that's most prone to sudden flashes of genius and crazy ass upheavals too, you know what I'm saying? And also where you're just different. And, the aspects show where shit gets interesting and where you might be in for some fucking cosmic surprises. For instance, you stuck in a job that you fucking hate that ain't on your motherfucking spiritual path anyway. Uranus will get your ass fired. Uranus will burn that bitch down. Uranus will, tank the whole motherfucking company, man. And you're free. And lastly, and around age 40, that's when transit Uranus is going to be opposing your natal Uranus. And, that's going to be coincided with what people would call, that dreaded midlife crisis. And this is when people break free from the shackles that really kept them from fulfilling their destiny. So, stay woke or get the woke the fuck up. That's kind of what Uranus is going to do. Pardon me, y'all. So when we're going to talk about the 8th house, the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio and the planet Pluto and Mars to a lesser degree. And this is like a mysterious sector that rules over birth, death, sex, transformation, mysteries, merged energies, and, bonding at the deepest level. It's also the house of other people's money and property. And traditionally, it's called the house of fucking sex, death, taxes, secrets, and power. And this is the home of the taboo and the place where fucking hidden mysteries. And the biggest of which is, that final transformation that we're all going to have to face. Death. And it's here where we find the deepest emotional wells and the secrets of the soul that unfold throughout a lifetime. And a big part of the reason that it's so feared is because of its power to really end our old way of being. The 8th involves the soul level changes that we go through during existence, man. And the many deaths or transformations, that, are played out by whatever signs on the cusp and the planetary placements here. And it's also about compulsions and obsessions and primal entanglements. So in Latin, get this, if y'all don't remember, if y'all haven't heard me tell any other videos, the orgasm is known as le petit morti, little death. And because it's a surrender to the primal energies, and in that moment, we are more than body. So accordingly, that's why both sex and death are connected here in the 8th, man. And there's so much more that I can go into because it's so deep, but that's the basic gist of this here. And so when we talk about putting Uranus here, the first thing I want to tell y'all is that actually Uranus does really well here because the 8th is connected with alchemy and magic. And, there's no way to know how things happen here. And you can get lost in the process. And basically that's Uranus's shit. Cause you're not the same after an 8th house experience, man. In turn, you know, these people often get, you know, sudden realizations that change their entire way of being. You know, the transformation process usually happens in an instant with this placement, man. And more often than not, it's going to happen when they fucking at least most prepared, or the least prepared for it. And when they expect it the least, man. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that 8th house planets are not always readily available in everyday life. And it's funny, when I'm doing interpretations and I'm consulting somebody and they're talking to me, they'll be sitting there telling me, you know, how this 8th house placement is affected. I'm like, oh, I'm like this because I have 8th house this, and I'm like this because I have 8th house that. And I'm just looking at them like, yeah, is that what it is? And actually, in most cases, that's not what it is, but I'm not going to tell them that. You know what I'm saying? Because the 8th house just isn't like that, man. You know, instead, 8th house planets, they come out and they're activated when energy is at its most intense points, like crisis, like death, like soul merging sexual activities. You know what I'm saying? You know, that type of intimacy, man. Meaning that, you know, people with Uranus in the 8th house, they're going to have a hard time expressing their eccentricities, man. You know what I'm saying? They're very unique people, and they probably have a whole bunch of shit that might be considered weird by other people that they love or that they're into, but they hide it because somebody's made them feel shame about it, or because they just hide it because they're not comfortable with that part of themselves. And, you know, being that they're not comfortable with that part of themselves, they try to hide it. And they usually find the space to be themselves in shit like occult practices, you know what I'm saying? Which in this case, you know, when I see Uranus in the 8th house, you know what I'm saying? One thing I probably know right off the rip is that when it comes to occult practices and things like that and working with energy, they're absolutely brilliant. And I deal with a lot of people that, you know, do this type of thing. And if you have Uranus in the 8th house, you're probably absolutely brilliant. But nobody'd ever know it about them unless they're told, or unless you've experienced with them, because this is the 8th. They keep it on the low. The 8th is all about the secrets and what you keep tucked down. You know what I'm saying? You know, and when Uranus is in the 8th too, I'm going to tell you now that, you know, it's almost certain. And I always say that I'm not one about predictions, but it's almost certain that they're going to lose something or someone that was of the utmost importance to them in their lives. And that'll be the catalyst for their search for personal freedom to truly begin. And then that's when shit's going to start happening unexpectedly, man. Crazy shit. Life upheavals, you know what I'm saying? Certain deaths, you know what I'm saying? Sexual experiences that come out of nowhere, man. And I'm not lying to you, man. I don't have Uranus in the 8th, but, you know, I know some Uranus in the 8th people. I ain't saying I ain't saying I had no experiences with them. Let me say too much and get in trouble. But I'm just saying, like, I started in some charts. So, I mean, that's kind of what it is, man. But all bullshit to the side, you know, I've seen with this placement also, you know, relationships that come out of nowhere. Relationships that turn hot and cold in an instant. You know, shit that changes your life in the fucking blink of an eye. That type of shit. And we can't never forget that the 8th is also all about sexual intimacy, you know. And when we talk about this motherfucker, you know, when you put when you put Uranus in the 8th, man, this motherfucker is freaky for real. Freaky dicky. You know, these motherfuckers are some of the most curious and explorative people that there are, man. And they're just truly willing to experiment, man. These are trisexuals, you know, they're willing to try anything once, man. And 8th house Uranus folks have this, you know, intensely strong psychic thing going on, which, you know, if it's not well disciplined, then it can lead to erratic and uncontrollable impulses that often manifest in the sexual realm. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Leading to some rather fucking unconventional desires and kinks, just, you know, to leave that there. And I'm not going to speak on what they are into, you know, particularly because I can't, because first of all, this is the 8th house, where it's an abyss of all kinds of deep, dark, taboo, secret things. Then we're putting Uranus here, which is totally unexpected, everything. You really can't just put it in a box like that. You just can't. Anything could happen. Anything could happen, man. And, I say that's especially if it's aspected by the moon, Venus, or Mars, then that's something that's probably going to be going down, man. And if there's harsh aspects, there could be recklessness, rebellion, and a bunch of fucking deliberately acting out. And a lot of the times that's going to have to do with areas that have to do with sex, you know what I'm saying? Obsessive and violence and abusive behavior, man, and the occult, and, the more hidden aspects of life and death, which they're going to be always kind of just, dealing with it in a way, whether they're doing it consciously or subconsciously, man. But things are going to happen in their life that are going to align them with, being on the conscious path to dealing with this type of thing. And that's being honest, man. But, the more intensity, of things they go through, it's going to help them out. For instance, man, in a deep abyss of their emotional ether, Uranus in the 8th house people, they might discover feelings that feel real disturbing, abnormal, or strange at first to them. And, but just the mere intensity of the things that they go through, ultimately will help change their own perspective and free them from feeling changed to the expectations of others. So, when I think about Uranus in the 8th house, this is a sexuality that, cannot be labeled, and, or pinned down. Like, that they want to experience, and they're going to experience, because the universe is going to place crazy ass experiences in their lap, man. And, another thing is, man, this could be, orgasmic fucking, what would I call it, man? This could be orgasmic or electric insight, or this could be, deadly brilliance, man. It's really a whole different bag, man. And, I'll definitely tell you this. When I see Uranus in the 8th house, I'll tell somebody, man, it looks to me like your stroke of genius is a stroke of genius. And if y'all don't know what that means, man, then you never will, because I ain't going to explain it to you either, man. But you should. We don't. Anyway, man, I could also say that these people, switching lanes, these people could have their potential to be fucking geniuses in the dark arts, man. And I know this. And it's not uncommon for to, have and experience these psychic events that challenge and transform their whole fucking perspective on life, death, consciousness, and all the other things that they're kind of constantly, obsessing about. Even in this case, it's going to be their sexuality, and there's things in the back of their mind. And when we're going to speak on death, man, I'm going to have to be honest with y'all, man. I got to keep it real. And like I say this, man, before I do, please understand that nothing is a guarantee, one. And two, as I always tell you, I'm not here for predictions. Plus living a life scared is not fucking living a life, period. But I want to be honest and to say that, the 8th can, really go about the matters that are surrounding the circumstances with death. And, I've seen that a lot of people that have Uranus in the 8th house, man, a lot of them die, suddenly, unexpectedly, in some of the most unusual fucking ways, man. That's being real. But, that doesn't speak as to when, they could be old. It just speaks that, hey, man, John Doe was good, man. He was healthy. That was my boy. I just saw him yesterday. And then all of a sudden, that motherfucker's dead. And you're like, damn. And then when they tell you how they passed on, you're like, what? And it's those type of situations, man. Just where you just saw that motherfucker. That's the type of thing that goes on with them, man. But like I said, that doesn't speak as to when, so don't trip. And plus, we all go. And how you go, that don't mean shit. When you go, that don't mean shit, man. It's all about how you live. And if you got Uranus in the 8th house, you probably lived a full life anyway. Full of fun, man. You know what I'm saying? And lastly, you know, the 8th is also about joint resources, insurance, money, and inheritances. And so, you know, that what this is going to do is sometimes these people are just going to come the fuck up out of nowhere. They're going to come up out of nowhere. And I'm talking about come up for real, from rags to riches. But at the same time, and somebody probably, something like this, probably inheritance, you know, a settlement, something like this could happen. At the same time, you know, they'll lose it all fucking with the next motherfucker. Just that fast too, man. And it just kind of goes like that with them, man. And I'm going to tell you this, that if you have Uranus in the 8th house, you need to be making sure that you're paying attention to your taxes. You don't listen, that's on you. What can you tell a motherfucker that know everything? Nothing. Nothing. And that's just kind of what it is, man. And, you know, make sure you're not taking unnecessary risk, and you are the person, do not feed into fucking online scams. Do not ever give those type of people your money, because they are gunning for you. And guess what? In this case, the universe is in their favor. So, hey, man, be careful, man. And if you remember that, you'll be all right. And you also remember, just because you built like that don't mean you have to build like that. It don't matter where you have Uranus at in your chart. It don't matter where you have any planet in your chart. All this energy is available to us. What you do with it is what you do with it. It ain't about what you do. Even beyond that, it's about how you do it. Okay? And that's some priceless knowledge in itself. And this has been some priceless knowledge of self, man. I appreciate all the love and support, man. If y'all fuck with me on any level, man, you can either like, share, or subscribe, man. I'm serious, man. If you watch this motherfucker and you ain't subscribed, you need to be subscribed, man. If you watch this motherfucker and you dig it, and you just walk and go dip off after you done heard it, man, don't do it like that, man. Hit that like button, man. Show motherfuckers some love. Help me get on this algorithm and do my thing, man. And look, if you're interested in the astrological readings whatsoever, you can either hit me up in the comments below, and you can email me, at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And that also goes if you'd like to make any donations to the channel. I love everybody, and I'm still riding with you regardless, and I'm still prospering and living regardless. But hey, man, if your soul motherfucking moves you, who am I to stop you? Look, I'm gonna be back in a minute with a little something about those people that have Uranus in the 3rd house of their natal chart. Why? Because I have Uranus in the 3rd house of my natal chart. So that should be fun. Y'all keep it true. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit.